Hey, welcome guys. Today we are going to be weathering our Tamiya Panzer I. This is the final video in this installment. We have done our review, we've done our build, we have painted, applied decals, and before this we have applied our Tamiya TS80 clear coat. Now, obviously you're seeing the video, or sorry, you're seeing the tank after it's been weathered. Uh, we are going to work our way back from here, show you the final product, and discuss kind of how we got there. Now, I tried to keep things very, very simple in this weathering stage for two reasons. One, not every kit has to be, this big to do. I actually prefer when kits aren't a big to do. Uh, I like to save those for every once in a while. And then, this is a small kit. It is difficult to weather because of that. Uh, but my second part was it's an early war tank in the very real first campaign of the war, so it's not really going to be that weathered. So we just want to get a little bit of weathering on this to make it pop, right? Make it look good. Um, we're going to use washes that we're starting to use right now, just a black wash. It's a little bit aggressive. I just don't have anything else that would work all that well with the German gray. So washes, we're going to use one type of pigment. We're going to use an AK like liquid pigment, streaking grime, and then what else am I missing? Just a really one small use of like a fuel stain. So we're going to use more than 4 products, but this is really like 4 weathering stages. So first off, we are not really doing a sludge wash, although my sloppy brushwork probably looks more like a sludge wash than a pin wash. But the idea of it is to do a pin wash with the black wash that we have. If you're doing another vehicle, there's other color washes that work better, like a brown with green kind of thing. Um, Again, this is just what I had for this color, and because we went light, if you watch the paint video, I really made a point of the vehicle not being dark gray. I wanted it to be light gray because I knew that we were going to use a black wash was part of it. Clear coat makes your vehicle darker. Um, so this is going to bring some different tonal variations. As you can already see on those back panels, we have like dark gray and light gray coming through already. Uh, I let that the black wash sit like overnight. I actually let it sit a little bit longer just because I was busy the next morning than I wanted to. Good news is our Q-tip still was taking it off, maybe 20 hours after I put it on. I always start with a Q-tip first. That's no thinner on it, anything like that. If you find that you can't take the wash off easily, then you can moisten it in some enamel thinner and, clean it up that way. But step one, once the enamel wash dries, for me is always the Q-tip. Then what you'll see me do in like a minute here is come back with a brush and enamel thinner, and we're going to clean up some of these, harder to reach areas because the Q-tip it can only reach so much, and because this is such a small vehicle, there's a lot of hard to reach places. So we're going to be really, really careful with our brush because we don't want to pull that wash out of any areas. Uh, it's accentuating the details, but it's also creating a layer of grime, right? If you look at it on the hinges on the back panel, it really looks like some built up just gunk in there. Dirt, grime, oil, whatever you want it to be. It's going to be all of those different things. So we don't want to pull it out. That's why I like to let it dry and kind of start. It's not curing, but it's starting to set up before we wipe it away. That way you can be a little bit aggressive with how you're brushing it, and it won't pull it out of the cracks and crevices. It'll only pull it out of those flat spots. It just makes the product a little bit easier to work with. You can still work with it. There's definitely applications where you would work with it a lot sooner. Maybe not let it start to set up like that. Uh, but again, you risk pulling it out of certain spots. So if you also watched the painting video, you know I used the AK Interactive, the wood base marker, and I've been using it on the tools. And I actually really like, even though it looks so bright yellow, I like the way that it weathers on the tools. This box, I don't know, it was too big of a surface area. I will not be doing that again. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with a brown wash. Uh, just, I think it's the brown wash for green vehicles. I think that's what the bottle said. Uh, any brown wash will do, and we're gonna let that sit on those tools again for, at least an overnight, call it. I think I was doing this in the morning, so we'll come back in the evening kind of thing. And then we are going to use, this is AK Interactive's European Earth. It's like a liquid pigment. This is a really, really cool product. This is only my second or third time using it. If you watched the video on Tacome's half track that I did, it was the first time I had used this. And I've used the rust on it, which is really, really awesome. This is a good product. It's kind of a lazy man's product, if I'm being honest. The rust product I would use on every single model. This is like self-leveling. It kind of just, once it starts to dry, it dries in this perfectly randomized way. And it really, as you can see, it's super, super thin. Literally, the only problem with this product is you have to shake it and stir it, what feels like every second or third use. Every time you dip the brush in, all that pigment is like just settling to the bottom. So it is slightly annoying to work with from that perspective, but the end result is really, really awesome. Um, and you don't have to, it just takes away a lot of the work that you have to do. And so when you want to focus on other things or you want a quick weathering job, it's pretty perfect product. Now that, because we're going to do a couple layers of that, I wanted to get that drying. Now we are going to come back and do some very, very light chipping. Uh, I mean very, very light. Like I said, a couple minutes ago, this is a early war vehicle. This would be the decal or decal if you're in the UK pattern that we did is from Poland. So very, very early war, first campaign. For all we know, this tank could have been brand new and not had a single chip on it, but we're just going to go on some of these, 90-degree areas, a little bit on top of the turret here, and just do some very, very small chips. Definitely not going to sponge chip this one. I'm not a fan of it anyways if you watch my videos. It gets a little bit too aggressive for my liking. Uh, super, super fine brush and just a little bit of Ammo by Mig's chipping color here, just to make it, just to give a different color there. It's almost like, is it a chip? Is it a, enamel mud product? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Just to bring a little bit something different to the vehicle here. So once we have that done, we are going to come back and do a track wash. So this is really just a kind of rusty colored dark brown wash. You could definitely just do this with a dark brown wash. Uh, I like to let this dry on the tracks. I do not take any of it off. That's kind of the way I've always done all of my tracks. I paint them with Tamiya's the XF85, their dark iron color, which is a really, really great color. If we talk about, we've talked about it before, dry brushing, weapons and guns and things like that, painting them black and then dry brushing them with the metallic color. This kind of gets that job done because it looks like the NATO black with these little just speckles of, aluminum or steel or something in the paint. So it's not really a metal color and it's not black either. It's somewhere in between. If you come in with this track wash and you let it dry, I just think it makes the tracks look honestly perfect, like a like a track color, because the dark iron might be the color that they are in the factory, but once they start to pick up some mud and dirt and things, they're not going to be that color anymore. So once I let the tools, the wash and the tools set up for, like I said, 12-ish hours, we're just going to come in with a Q-tip and take some of that off. And we're also going to wet our brush with thinner in a second here, and also do some cleanup. But trying to leave a good amount of that wash, really the purpose is to spread that wash around, not try to take it all off. The trouble with that yellow box is the corners, as you'll see in the end of the video. Just kind of unable to get the corners to really blend into that wash color, but that's okay. I'm not going to stay up thinking about it too much. Then we're going to come back with our AK, this is the European Earth Enamel Liquid Pigment again. And we're gonna put on, like I said, multiple layers of this. You have to let it dry every time, and it takes at least a couple hours for it to dry. I'm gonna give it pretty much every single day. I'm gonna do like another layer of this, so letting it really like set up, not really curing yet for an enamel product, but letting it really dry, and that will let you keep layering on top of it, because as we said before, it's really thin, and it's going to fall down with gravity. It's going to fall down into the recessed areas, and the more we put, kind of the more buildup we get. This is an awesome product. Obviously we're not going to go too heavy on the road wheels, and we are going to come back and clean up the road wheels, but we're going to put this all over the tracks like we are now. But it leaves such a good, like, dusty, crusted on effect on the road wheels that you'll see at the end. It's really a cool product. And like I said, it's kind of a lazy man's product, because you just brush it on, you come back and you look at it, and you either say, "Hey, that's great," or maybe I'll try it again, because there is a randomness to it. So it's not going to dry the same in every area or every time. It's just going to do what it wants to do. But 99% of the time, I like the effect it leaves. So we're going to keep using that. Plus, this light color of dirt, just I liked it with the dark gray again. Try to make the vehicle just a little bit less dark. Now that we've wiped off our brown wash on our tools, we're going to come back. This is just another brown wash. This is AK Interactive's wood wash. And generally, again, this works really well with their really yellow tool color. And we're just going to slather that on, and really like a sludge wash over all of our quote unquote wood areas, these really yellow wood areas. We're going to let that set up again for like a day, 12 hours to 24 hours, and then we're going to come in and wipe it off, I guess tomorrow, later in this video. Then we're going to take our same enamel product, and we're just going to do some really light splash marks. Generally, I like to use the model box itself and kind of protect my workbench, although I don't know why I would protect it. There's stuff all over it. Many models have been built and weathered in this little wood setup that I have. But we're going to be really careful, because this is a really small vehicle, and we don't want big thick mud splashes on it. Really, the idea of this is just to blend, because even though this product is really great, it only goes where your brush goes. So at the end, like on the front fender there, you do need to blend it a little bit. Now you can do that two ways. This way, by getting some really light splashes on there. The second way would be coming in, the next day with a dry, like thick bristled brush, and kind of blending it that way. That works really well too with this product. But this is the method we're going to go for now, and really just getting some little splashes anywhere. Obviously, the intent is to blend the areas where this wash meets kind of the clean part of the vehicle, but also just throwing some mud and dirt and dust anywhere. Then we're going to come in and we're going to do some really, really light pigment work. Now, you saw a second ago, these come in a pack of like 20 or 25. It's like, I think it was like $10 for all of them. They are disposable, although you could use these many, many times, uh, at least a couple times. I wouldn't let anything dry in them because then they become disposable. But they are really, really great for pigments. And if you've ever tried to use a paintbrush to apply pigments, I've even bought Ammo by Mig's like pigment fixer brush, whatever it's called, and it picks up too much, and then you just have these big, thick layers of pigment on your model. These little sniper brushes work really, really well to just pick up the tiniest little amount, and then because they're tiny, you can fit them and work them into other places. And because this vehicle is so small, it's really difficult to weather behind the tracks, which is why I like polycaps. I like to be able to install that stuff and take it off as needed. But a lot of these new kits, there's still ways to do that, obviously. And a lot of people still do it that way, but a lot of these new kits just have you build everything and then paint, which is okay. It makes a lot of different aspects easier. But we're going to come in and we're going to do a little bit of pigment on the, rear fender, side skirts. There's no real side skirts here, but side fenders, I guess. Um, and then into the tracks. And the way we are going to adhere this pigment, if you haven't guessed already, is going to be with our AK Interactive, that European Earth product again. So obviously it's a super thin product, as we said, but pigment's going to adhere based off of like enamel thinner. So Ammo by Mig makes a pigment fixer that it's not 100% um, enamel thinner. I was watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, as I always do, who probably will watch this. What's up, Brett? But he was talking about how there's like a little bit of residue at the bottom of that Ammo by Mig pigment fixer. So I don't know what else is in it. The I guess old-fashioned way to adhere pigment is just with enamel thinner. So any enamel product is going to work. Now, I have not used this AK product with pigments, so it's an experiment. I kind of experiment on every model. Uh, why not, right? If we mess it up, we could always just go build another one. Um, but always good to see how these things work together. And I'm happy to say this product did knock a lot of pigment off, which is fine because it's really easy to get too much pigment and just have your vehicle look like it's been blasted with pigments. But because it's super thin, it also pulled a lot of that pigment into some of the recessed areas that I couldn't reach with the brush. That because, again, it's such a small vehicle, I couldn't get the pigment behind some of the wheels. So this wash just did a lot of that work for us, which is nice. Coming back to the tools real quick, that is what it looks like after we have wiped off that wood wash. Obviously, I think that's the axe underneath. It's a little hard to get, so combination of brush and Q-tip will do the trick there. And then as you can see, this yellow box, it's looking more wood colored. It's again, I said it, a couple minutes ago, but it's just the edges. I don't mind it on the tools. I'm going to keep using that product, that marker, because I paid for it and I don't want it just sitting on my bench. I'm not going to throw it out. But it didn't work on the box. The box was too much surface area. Maybe I'm being just self-critical. I don't know. But anyways, that's the best the box is going to get. We're going to come in. We're going to do this a couple times. Just putting a little bit of enamel thinner on a paintbrush, really small paintbrush, and not keeping the road wheels clean because I don't really think they would be clean, but just keeping them from getting too gunked up, like the flat spot of the road wheel. Definitely would have some dust. If you look at the wheels of your car, they definitely get some, like a different hue to them when they get just all that sand and dust and whatever pushed into the wheel, but trying to keep them cleaner than the edges of them, where we really want that product built up. So as you can see, I have a gravitational problem, and there's one way to fix that. So we're going to come in, and when the vehicle was flat, you couldn't see this top area, but it was kind of bothering me. So we're going to come in and use, once again, this AK product. I think this has got to be the 5th layer that we used. But as you can see, it's getting thicker and thicker, and it's building up, and just a really, really nice layer. And as you can see, it's blending with the pigments. Again, I didn't want a whole lot of pigments. I just wanted a little bit of something just to give it a little bit of difference there. And I think we achieved that well. You'll see once this dries. It's not perfect, but again, I did kind of a quick weathering job here. I didn't want to take weeks to do this one. I have too many model kits to build, and I got myself a little bit. Uh, I have the half track, and the Panther all ready to go, all at the same time. So have to clear out some space on my kind of to-do shelf. Next up, we are going to do some streaking grime, and this is really like the last step here. I'm going to use 3 different color streaking grimes. Now, I'm not going to go really, really heavy. Again, not trying to overdo this one, but we're going to use streaking grime for winter vehicles, I believe is what it's called, and then our rain mark effect, which is kind of like a dust streaking effect. You'll see when it goes on, it's going to look the brightest, but I kind of don't believe in dust products because they just, I don't know. I haven't had really great success with them, and that seems to be the best kind of dust effect that I have used. So I'm going to continue to use it, obviously, and you'll see kind of what it does um, in terms of making just that dusty look when we start wiping it away. You certainly could do this, and probably should do this in 3 different stages, but I kind of like to do it. It's very similar to the oil painting technique using, the dot method. I put all 3 on at once, let them maybe dry for like 30 minutes, and then come in and I'm going to wipe them all away at once. I don't mind if some of these colors blend together. I'm trying to achieve 2 different things with one effect here. Trying to achieve some of that discoloration and just that general, change the paint color a little bit, but just get that streaking dust and grime, and it's gonna all be mixed together, right, on a vehicle. So it's okay if we put all these colors on together. If we can, we're gonna try to wipe them off singularly, but I like when that product builds up on my brush so that anywhere I touch kind of gets a little bit of that paint rubbing off on the model. It really gets, especially with the rain mark effects, it gets that dusty kind of effect to it, which is really, really nice. So we've just put a little bit of thinner on this brush. This is like a tapered brush meant for streaking grime. And as I've said before in some of my videos, try to start working from the bottom. Obviously, this is a really small vehicle to do. If this is your first time doing streaking effects, I would not advise this vehicle. Aside from that front uh, of the hull, there's really no great area to do it. But start at the bottom of your streak, because if you start at the top, what you're going to find is you're going to pull a lot of it down, and then you're going to pull it off the top, and it's going to be left in the bottom, and I don't know. It's just not going to look like you want it there. So that's a good example. Start at the bottom, kind of wipe it away, and work up into that top of the streaking effect. And that's going to leave you with, there you go, that nice little dusty kind of discolored look. I did wipe away a little bit of that pigment on the front fender. Shame on me, but I'll come back and fix that in a little bit here. I think I do that off camera. Last but not least, I did research. I Googled it. And by research, I mean I Googled it. Um, this has got to be the gas tank. I don't see any other area where it would be. And I didn't find anything on this particular vehicle as to where it would be. So if that's incorrect, leave a comment, let me know. But just some quick little fuel stains. I'm not going to play with them too much um, on where, let's pretend they spilled some gas, that sort of thing. So there you have it. That is our final step in the weathering process. Besides letting everything really dry for 2-3 days, letting those enamel products set up, especially if we're going to be touching it. Want to be careful where we touch it, although I'm not always the most careful with that. But if you've made it this far and you haven't already, I would please ask you to like and subscribe. We will be doing many more kits. Up next, we will be doing. I have my Panther is the Tacom, or what is it? The DOS Work Panther is like half painted. We have our Tamiya half track that I'm maybe halfway through weathering. So those will be coming up, as well as um, might do an aircraft next because it's been a little bit. And if you watch my top 5 for 2025, you might guess what's coming up. You might not, because I might change my mind and do a German aircraft. You'll never know. You'll just have to wait and see. But I will leave you with the finished kit for the last minute here. Really quick on this kit before I go. This is a really, really nice kit. It's really, really small, and just judging by views, not on my channel but on all of YouTube, it doesn't seem to be all that popular of a kit. Things like the Panther, obviously it's a Panther, right? It's going to get a lot more interest. The half track gets a lot of interest. Tigers, things like that are going to get really the spotlight. This kit was an absolute pleasure to build. Yes, it's a small kit, so it has fiddly parts, kind of, although there's not really that many. It's just looks different than anything else in your shelf, and the figure that comes with it is, I don't know, a 9.3 out of 10 in terms of plastic figures. It's a 10 out of 10 in terms of ease of painting because he's just wearing a black uniform. But the way that this kit falls together is just quintessential new age Tamiya. Um, you won't have a bad time building this kit. So although it might not get the same kind of hype as some of the other model kits out there, it's in the nines if you have to rate it. Um, I don't know what would keep it from getting a 10. I guess the small parts, the tracks are a little bit small, but they build up perfectly and they're not too tight. I've had a lot of Tamiya experiences where the tracks are really, really tight. These aren't too tight, they're not too loose. Really, really great kit. So it's no longer on sale. It was on sale for like $27 on Tamiya's website. I think it's back to like 32, 33. Um, it was a great, great kit for 27 bucks, like maybe the best you could buy for that price. But at $33, it's still a really, really nice kit. And if you have one, I hope you have fun, as much fun building it as I did. But thank you guys for tuning in. That's my 2 cents on the kit itself, and we will see you on the next video.